Stories and Documentary Network. Welcome viewers. In the heart of South America, nestled among the towering peaks of the Andes, lies the legacy of an extraordinary civilization that once ruled with unparalleled sophistication and grandeur, the Inca Empire. Today, we embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of this ancient powerhouse and explore its profound impact on the tapestry of South American history. Our journey commences amidst the ruins of Machu Picchu, an archaeological marvel perched on the edge of the world. As we stand on this sacred ground, we are transported back in time to an era when the Inca Empire dominated the rugged landscapes and soaring peaks of South America. The Inca Empire was a kingdom that developed in the Andes region of South America and gradually grew larger through the military strength and diplomacy of their emperors. Known as Tawantinsuyu, the Inca state spanned the distance of some 2,500 miles, from northern Ecuador to central Chile, and at its peak consisted of 12 million inhabitants from more than 100 different ethnic groups. Well-devised agricultural and roadway systems, along with a centralized religion and language, helped maintain a cohesive state. Despite their power, the Inca were quickly overwhelmed by the diseases and superior weaponry of Spanish invaders, and the last bastion of their immense empire was overtaken in 1572. Join us as we uncover the secrets of the Inca Empire, exploring the foundations of its rise, the intricacies of its society, and the enduring legacy that continues to shape the cultural identity of South America. This is the story of the Inca Empire, a civilization that rose to unprecedented heights, leaving behind not only stone monuments but an indelible mark on the history of South America. Welcome to the cradle of the Andes. In the cradle of the Andes, where the mountains echo with the tales of time, our journey begins with the origins of a civilization that would defy the constraints of its rugged surroundings, the Inca Empire. Long before the rise of the Inca, the Andean region was home to a tapestry of civilizations, each leaving its mark on the fertile soils and rocky cliffs. From the Chavin to the Mochi, these ancient cultures laid the foundation for the grandeur that would follow. But it was in the 13th century that a force unparalleled would emerge, a force destined to unite the disparate strands of Andean culture into a mighty tapestry. Legend has it that Manco Capac, a figure cloaked in myth and divine lineage, founded the city of Cusco. A city destined to be not just the heart of the Inca Empire but the very soul of a people bound by destiny. Cusco, with its stone streets and awe-inspiring architecture, became the cradle of Inca civilization. From this ancient city, the Inca would forge an empire that reached unprecedented heights. Enter Pachacuti, the visionary ruler who would shape the destiny of the Inca Empire. It was under his leadership that the kingdom of Cusco underwent a remarkable transformation, evolving from a regional power to a sprawling empire. Pachacuti's strategic brilliance saw the Inca Empire expand its borders, bringing neighboring peoples under the Inca banner. The kingdom of Cusco was no longer confined. It became a beacon of power in the Andes. Thus, from the humble origins in the Andean highlands, the Inca Empire arose, a testament to the enduring spirit of a people and the visionary leaders who carved their destiny in the stone of Cusco. In the next segment, we delve into the intricate web of Inca society and culture that thrived within the shadow of these ancient walls. The Inca people began as a tribe in the Cuzco area around the 12th century CE under the leadership of Manco Capac. They formed the small city-state of Cusco, or Cuzco in Spanish. In 1438 CE, under the command of Sapa Inca, paramount leader, Pachacuti, or Pachacutec, 1438 to 1471, they began their conquest of the Andean regions of South America and adjacent lands. At its height, Tawantinsuyu included what are now Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and also extended into portions of what are now Chile, Argentina, and Colombia. Pachacutin, which means transformer of the world, described by some as the most enlightened ruler in pre-Columbus America, reorganized Cuzco into the Tawantinsuyu. The Tawantinsuyu was a federalist system which consisted of a central government with the Inca at its head and 4 provincial governments with powerful leaders, Chinchasuyu, Antisuyu, Contasuyu, and Calasuyu. The 4 corners of these provinces met at the center, Cuzco. The land Pachacuti conquered was about the size of the 13 colonies of the United States in 1776 CE, and consisted of nearly the entire Andes mountain range. Tawantinsuyu, as of 1463 CE, is shown in red on the map. Pachacuti is also thought to have built Machu Picchu, either as a family home or as a Camp David-like retreat. Pachacuti would send spies to regions he wanted in his empire who would report back on their political organization, military might, and wealth. He would then send messages to the leaders of these lands extolling the benefits of joining his empire, offering them presents of luxury goods such as high-quality textiles, and promising that they would be materially richer as subject rulers of the Inca. Most accepted the rule of the Inca as a fait accompli and acquiesced peacefully. The ruler's children would then be brought to Cuzco to be taught about Inca administration systems, then return to rule their native lands. This allowed the Inca to indoctrinate the former ruler's children into the Inca nobility and, with luck, marry their daughters into families at various corners of the empire. Pachacuti's son, Tupac Inca, conquered even more land, most importantly the kingdom of Chimor, the Inca's only serious rival for the coast of Peru. Tupac Inca's empire stretched north into modern-day Ecuador and Colombia. Huayna Capac added some land area, though less than his father and grandfather. Tawantinsuyu was a patchwork of languages, cultures, and peoples. The components of the empire were not all uniformly loyal, nor were the local cultures all fully integrated. For instance, the Chimu used money in their commerce, while the Inca Empire as a whole had an economy based on exchange and taxation of luxury goods and labor. It is said that Inca tax collectors would take the head lice of the lame and old as a symbolic tribute. The portions of the Chachapoya that had been conquered were almost openly hostile to the Inca, and the Inca nobles rejected an offer of refuge in their kingdom after their troubles with the Spanish. At the pinnacle of Inca society stood the emperor, the Sapa Inca, believed to be the offspring of the sun god, Inti. A divine ruler whose authority permeated every corner of the empire. Below the emperor, a structured hierarchy unfolded. Nobility, revered for their lineage and service to the empire, occupied influential positions. Commoners, the backbone of Inca society, toiled the fields and contributed to the empire's prosperity. And, tragically, at the lowest rung, were the slaves, often prisoners of war, destined to serve the Inca elite. But beyond the rigid lines of hierarchy, the Inca wove a fabric of community through a social unit known as the Ilu. The Ilu was more than a dwelling place. It was a kinship, a shared responsibility where individuals labored together, celebrated together, and weathered the challenges of life as one. Religion, too, played a central role in Inca life. At the heart of their spiritual cosmos was Inti, the sun god. The Inca believed that the Sapa Inca was a direct descendant of Inti, forging a divine connection between the ruler and the cosmos. The sun, giver of life and warmth, held a sacred place in every aspect of Inca religion. This profound spiritual connection was etched in stone, quite literally, through the breathtaking architecture and engineering that defined the Inca Empire. Machu Picchu, the jewel of Inca engineering, stands as a testament to their mastery. Nestled amidst the clouds, this citadel seamlessly integrates with the natural contours of the land, a celestial city dedicated to the gods. The Incas' architectural prowess extended far beyond Machu Picchu. The empire was adorned with marvels like Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, and Pisac, each a testament to their ability to harmonize human endeavor with the grandeur of nature. The most powerful figure in the empire was the Sapa Inca, emperor, or simply Inca. When a new ruler was chosen, his subjects would build his family a new royal dwelling. The former royal dwelling would remain the dwelling of the former Inca's family. Only descendants of the original Inca tribe ever ascended to the level of Inca. Most young members of the Inca's family attended yachaywazis, houses of knowledge, to obtain their education. The Tawantinsuyu was a federation which consisted of a central government with the Inca at its head and 4 provinces: Chinchaysuyu, NW, Antisuyu, Ne, Quantasuyu, SW, and Koyasuyu, SE. The 4 corners of these provinces met at the center, Cuzco. Each province had a governor who oversaw local officials, who in turn supervised agriculturally productive river valleys, cities, and mines. There were separate chains of command for both the military and religious institutions, which created a system of partial checks and balances on power. The local officials were responsible for settling disputes and keeping track of each family's contribution to the mita, mandatory public service. The Inca's system of leaving conquered rulers in post as proxy rulers and of treating their subject people well was very different from what was practiced elsewhere in South America. Every 5 Waranka Karaka, Pachaka Karaka, and Chunka Kamayuk had an intermediary to the next level called, respectively, Pika Waranka Karaka, Pika Pakaka Karaka, and Pika Kanka Kamayuk. This means that the middle managers managed either 2 or 5 people, while the Kanka Kamayuk, at the worker manager level, and the Apos and Tukraikak, in upper management, each had about 20 people reporting to. The descendants of the original Inca tribe were not numerous enough to administer their empire without help. To cope with the need for leadership at all levels, the Inca established a civil service system. Boys at the age of 13 and girls at the age of first menstruation had their intelligence tested by the local Inca officials. If they failed, their Ilu, extended family group, would teach them one of many trades, such as farming, gold working, weaving, or military skills. If they passed the test, they were sent to Cuzco to attend school to become administrators. There they learned to read the quipu, knotted cord records, and were taught Inca iconography, leadership skills, religion, and, most importantly, mathematics. The graduates of this school constituted the nobility and were expected to marry within that. While some workers were held in great esteem, such as royal goldsmiths and weavers, they could never themselves enter the ruling classes. The best they could hope for was that their children might pass the exam as adolescents to enter the civil service. Although workers were considered the lowest social class, they were entitled to a modicum of what today we call due process, and all classes were equally subject to the rule of law. For example, if a worker was accused of stealing and the charges were proven false, the local official could be punished for not doing his job properly. Work was obligatory and there was a strong preference for collective work. One of the commandments was, "Do not be lazy, beggars did not exist." The Inca believed in reincarnation. Those who obeyed the Incan moral code, Amasuwa, Amalula, Amakela, do not steal, do not lie, do not be lazy, went to live in the sun's warmth. Others spent their eternal days in the cold earth. The Inca also believed in mummifying prominent personages. The mummies would be provided with an assortment of objects which were to be taken into the pack arena. Upon reaching the pack arena, the mummies or malki would be able to converse with the area's other ancient ancestors, the wakas. The malquis were also used in various rituals or celebrations. The deceased were generally buried in a sitting position. One such example was the 500-year-old mummy, Juanita the Ice Maiden, a girl very well preserved in ice that was discovered at 20,000 feet near the summit of Mount Ampado in southern Peru. Her burial included many items left as offerings to the Inca gods. Similarity with Egyptian funeral and after-death practices has led some to speculate that if the ancient Phoenicians did travel to the Americas, there may have been some cross-fertilization between the two cultures. The role of the Sapa Inca has been compared to that of the pharaohs. Both were political and religious figures. Imagine a web of roads that stretched over 25,000 miles, connecting the high peaks of the Andes to the coastal plains and dense rainforests. This was the Inca road system, a testament to engineering ingenuity that rivaled the wonders of their architectural masterpieces. The Inca roads were not mere pathways, they were the lifelines of an empire. Carved into the mountains, these stone arteries served a multitude of purposes, transcending the limits of mere transportation. Enter the Chasqui, an elite group of messengers who transformed the roads into a relay communication system. These skilled runners navigated the challenging terrain, carrying messages at astonishing speeds. The relay system ensured that information traveled swiftly, connecting even the farthest reaches of the empire to the heart of Cusco. But the roads were not only conduits of communication, they were the lifelines of llama caravans laden with goods wound their way through mountain passes, connecting diverse regions. The strategic placement of tambos, way stations equipped with food and shelter, facilitated trade and sustained the flow of goods. In the chess game of empire, the Inca roads were the key to strategic dominance. The roads allowed the Inca military to swiftly deploy troops, reinforcing distant outposts and ensuring control over the vast territories. They were, in essence, the sinews that bound the empire together, ensuring both unity and command. Architecture was by far the most important of the Inca arts, with pottery and textiles reflecting motifs that were at their height in architecture. The stone temples constructed by the Inca used a mortarless construction process first used on a large scale by the Tiwanaku. The Inca imported the stoneworkers of the Tiwanaku region to Cuzco when they conquered the lands south of Lake Titicaca. The rocks used in construction were sculpted to fit together exactly by repeatedly lowering a rock onto another and carving away any sections on the lower rock where the dust was compressed. The tight fit and the concavity on the lower rocks made them extraordinarily stable in the frequent earthquakes that strike the area. The Inca used straight walls except on important religious sites and constructed whole towns at once. The Inca also sculpted the natural surroundings themselves. One could easily think that a rock along an Inca road or trail is completely natural, except if one sees it at the right time of year when the sun casts a stunning shadow, betraying its synthetic form. The Inca rope bridges were also used to transport messages and materials by chasqui, or running messengers, who operated a type of postal service, essential in a mountain society. They lived in pairs, and while one slept, the other waited for any message that needed to be sent. They ran 200 meters per minute and never a distance greater than 2 kilometers, relaying the message to the next team. The Inca also adopted the terraced agriculture that the previous Huari civilization had popularized. But they did not use the terraces solely for food production. At the Inca Tambo, or inn, at Ollantay Tambo, the terraces were planted with flowers, extraordinary in this parched land. The terraces of Moray were left unirrigated in a desert area and seem to have been solely decorative. The Inca provincial thrones were often carved into natural outcroppings, and there were over 360 natural springs in the areas surrounding Cuzco, such as the one at Tambo Mache. At Tambo Mache, the natural rock was sculpted and stonework was added, creating alcoves and directing the water into fountains. These pseudo-natural carvings functioned to show both the Incas' respect for nature and their command over it. At the heart of Inca sustenance were two staples that defined their diet: maize and potatoes. Maize, or corn, stood as a sacred crop, symbolizing fertility and life. It was not merely a dietary staple but a cultural cornerstone, woven into the fabric of Inca rituals and celebrations. Potatoes, versatile and hardy, became the backbone of Inca agriculture. From the high-altitude terraces to the lower plains, potatoes thrived in the diverse microclimates created by the terraced fields. Amidst the rows of crops, a silent witness to the agricultural bounty hung: the quipu. The quipu, a complex arrangement of knots on colorful strings, was more than a mere record-keeping tool. It was the Incas' code, a language of knots that documented everything from crop yields to census data. Each knot, a story woven into the fabric of these vibrant strings, allowed the Inca to manage their agricultural resources with precision, ensuring the empire's sustenance and prosperity. It is estimated that the Inca cultivated around 70 crop species. The main crops were potatoes, about 200 varieties, sweet potatoes, maize, chili peppers, cotton, tomatoes, peanuts, an edible root called oca, and a grain known as quinoa. The many important crops developed by the Inca and preceding cultures make South America one of the historic centers of crop diversity, along with the Middle East, India, Mesoamerica, Ethiopia, and the Far East. Many of these crops were widely distributed by the Spanish and are now important crops worldwide. The Inca cultivated food crops on dry Pacific coastlines, high on the slopes of the Andes, and in the lowland Amazon rainforest. In mountainous Andean environments, they made extensive use of terraced fields, which not only allowed them to put to use the mineral-rich mountain soil that other peoples left fallow, but also took advantage of microclimates conducive to a variety of crops being cultivated throughout the year. Agricultural tools consisted mostly of simple digging sticks. The Inca also raised llamas and alpacas for their wool and meat and to use them as pack animals, and captured wild vicuñas for their fine hair. The Inca road system was key to farming success as it allowed distribution of foodstuffs over long distances. The Inca also constructed vast storehouses, which allowed them to live through El Niño, less abundant, years in style while neighboring civilizations suffered. Inca leaders kept records of what each ilu in the empire produced, but did not tax them on their production. They instead used the mita for the. The Inca diet consisted primarily of fish and vegetables, supplemented less frequently with the meat of guinea pigs and camelids. In addition, they hunted various animals for meat, skins, and feathers. Maize was used to make chicha, a fermented beverage. Thus, in the shadow of the Andean peaks, the Inca turned barren cliffs into fields of abundance, cultivating not just crops but a testament to their mastery over the land. In the annals of history, the name Pachacuti resonates not just as a ruler but as a visionary architect of conquest, a force that would sculpt the Inca Empire into a realm of unparalleled grandeur. Pachacuti, the transformative leader, orchestrated military campaigns that would redraw the boundaries of the Inca Empire. His conquests were not merely acts of aggression. They were strategic maneuvers that expanded the Incas' influence across the vast tapestry of the Andean landscape. Yet, Pachacuti's vision extended beyond the borders of conquest. He sought not just to subjugate but to integrate, to weave the diverse threads of conquered cultures into the fabric of the Inca Empire. The Inca were not conquerors in the traditional sense, they were architects of unity. Conquered peoples were granted autonomy within the empire, allowed to retain aspects of their cultural identity, and often became crucial contributors to the imperial tapestry. Yet, with conquest and integration came the monumental challenge of governing a sprawling empire, a challenge that tested the limits of Inca control. The Andes, though majestic, presented geographical and logistical challenges. The empire spanned diverse ecosystems, from high-altitude plateaus to dense rainforests, each posing unique challenges in administration and resource management. The Inca met this challenge with a complex administrative system, dividing the empire into provinces governed by trusted officials. Communication via the extensive road system and the quipu was crucial to maintaining a cohesive governance structure. However, as the empire flourished, an invisible foe emerged, a force that would disrupt the delicate balance of Inca control. European diseases, introduced by the arrival of Spanish conquistadors, decimated the Inca population. The once thriving empire faced an unprecedented challenge that undermined its ability to govern effectively. As the sun set over the Andean peaks, shadows descended upon the Inca Empire, a realm marked by its triumphs and tribulations. The last days unfolded against the backdrop of a succession crisis, the encroachment of unseen adversaries, and a destiny intertwined with the arrival of the unknown. The seeds of discord were sown within the royal lineage, a succession crisis that would pit brother against brother and sow the seeds of internal strife. Huayna Capac, the Inca ruler, faced a dilemma in choosing his heir. His decision would lead to a bitter rivalry between his sons, Huáscar and Atahualpa, a rivalry that would fracture the unity of the empire. The empire, once a beacon of unity, found itself torn asunder by civil war. The very fabric that held the Inca together was unraveling, paving the way for external forces to exploit the empire's vulnerability. Meanwhile, an invisible enemy silently crept through the empire's veins, European diseases brought by the arrival of Spanish conquistadors. Smallpox, measles, and other diseases, to which the Inca had no immunity, spread like wildfire, decimating the population. The Inca, once a formidable force, found themselves grappling with a silent and insidious adversary. Against this backdrop of internal strife and biological warfare, a new player entered the stage, a Spanish conquistador named Francisco Pizarro. Pizarro, with his small band of conquistadors, exploited the divisions within the Inca Empire. He observed the weakened state of the Inca and saw an opportunity to fulfill his ambitions. The meeting between Atahualpa and Pizarro proved fateful, leading to the capture of the Inca ruler and setting the stage for a cataclysmic clash between two worlds. The once mighty empire, weakened by internal strife and ravaged by disease, succumbed to the relentless advance of the Spanish forces. The fall of the Inca Empire marked the end of an era, a chapter in history forever altered by the convergence of cultures and the inexorable march of time. The Spanish saw little or no reason to preserve anything they encountered in Inca civilization. They plundered its wealth and left the civilization in ruin. The civilization's sophisticated road and communication system and governance were no mean accomplishments. Diverse tribes, many occupying isolated territories in the most obscure of mountain hideaways, were simply remarkable. They were greedy for the wealth, which existed in fabulous proportion, not the culture. Yet, through the survival of the language and of a few residual traces of the culture, the civilization was not wholly, although almost wholly, destroyed. The great and relatively humane civilization of the Incas' main legacy is inspirational, residing in the human ability to imagine that such a fabulously rich, well-ordered, and generally humane society once existed, high up in the Andean hills. Writers comment it was for God, gold, and glory that the conquest of the New World took place. The Indians were enslaved, tortured, and worked to death to provide the Europeans with gold. They were infected by the newcomers with tuberculosis, measles, and smallpox. Hyams and Ordish, 262. Edward Hyams said it best with his use of an analogy. He compared the Inca civilization to that of a dance where all of the patterns are the same and it continues day to day without faltering or interruption. He says, the great dance had been their reality. They awoke into the nightmare of chaos, 263. In the contemporary world, where Europeans and North Americans often depict themselves as the bringers of peace, order, humaneness, and good governance, it is germane to compare the governance of the Peruvians before and after the Spanish conquest. The sun has set on our exploration, leaving us with the whispers of a people who once walked these sacred grounds. In the quietude of Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, and Sacsayhuaman, their stories endure, carried by the winds that sweep through the Andes. If you found inspiration in the tales of the Inca, share this journey with those who seek the echoes of the past. Like the sun sharing its warmth, may the stories of this remarkable civilization touch the hearts of kindred spirits. Subscribe to our channel for more odysseys through time, where history unfolds like the petals of a timeless flower. Join us on the next expedition as we unravel the mysteries and marvels that await beyond the horizon.